Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today and thank you for your support. Today I'm going to be taking you through a system update. The reason I'm doing this is the arrival of a loan of the System Audio Pandion 30 speakers. I've brought them up in a couple of videos so far. I'm going to show you them today and take you through each component that precedes them in the system. I always keep an updated list of my components in every description box. So whenever I'm discussing sound, you can be sure you can look there and see what the latest I'm listening on. And I think it's important for you to know that. And I think this is a great way for you to see everything and kind of be exposed to the reason I chose each component in the system. Of course, the foundation of any system is the turntable. I'm vinyl centric. I don't have a CD player in my system or streaming at this point, although that is probably coming soon. I love vinyl, and I wanted a great foundation that I could afford for my system. I chose a model from Basis Audio. Basis Audio is designed in New Hampshire, my home state. The turntables were designed by A.J. Conti, who has since passed away, but the company remains. And they have many award-winning turntables priced up into the stratosphere. The one I chose is their entry-level model. The moment I saw it, I was like, I have to hear this turntable. I love the visual appearance of it. It appeals to my design aesthetic for sure. And anyone who sees this turntable is like, oh my God, I never knew a turntable could look so elegant and so beautiful and so simple. And that's what I like about the 1400. It's no longer in production. It's a closed loop turntable. They didn't offer any upgrades where you could go to a higher model. It's kind of is what it is, but what it is a wonderful entry-level turntable. I say entry-level, but 20 years ago it was about $3,000. So it was a lot of money for me at the time, but it came packaged with a Benz Glider cartridge, which was very, very nice. Was my first moving coil, I believe, and a Rega 300 arm. And the way they implement the Rega 300 arm is different than Rega does on their own turntables. It's dropped into a machined hole, so it's on a pillar, and it can be raised or lowered from the back via a set screw. So this is a really nice, easy way to set VTA. It's not on the fly, but it's easily accessible, unlike when you try to do that on a Rega turntable. The Rega arm is very, very good. I had it rewired by, I can't remember the name of the company, but a prominent modifying company did the rewire. So it's a continuous piece from the head shell to the RCA plugs. So it's really a great foundation for my system. Also, the isolation is very, very good for a simple design like this. Each of the pillars has a sorbethane or neoprene type material at the bottom, and I've never had an issue with footfalls or anything like that. Could it use more isolation? Perhaps, yeah. Perhaps a wall mount or some type of, platform underneath it, but I've not had any issues that I can detect with isolation. So I think the 3-point system is really interesting too. It has 3 pillars rather than 4 on their upper models, and it's very easy to level the turntable. It has precision machining that is brought down from the upper models, and it shares the same motor with the upper models. I think it's a great turntable, and I've really enjoyed owning it. It's a centerpiece in my system at this point, and I don't have any desire to upgrade it at this point. There are other issues in the system that need upgrading, and one of them was the speakers, and that's why I'm making this video. The arm has the Hana ML on it. Now, I've cycled through many cartridges on this turntable. I started with what it came with, the Benz Glider. I loved that for a year or two. I tried the Sumiko Blue Point at one point, Denon 103s, Denon 110, the Hana SL, the Audio-Technica AT33 EV, and I keep coming back to the last two, the EV and the ML. The EV is a nice cartridge at a lower price range. It's about $450. It's moving coil, it's elliptical, and it has a nice warm, forgiving sound, which sometimes I like to install it and have it on the system for a while. But for reviewing purposes, I think the ML is a better choice. I loved it over the SL that I had. I think it's the sweet spot in their line. And even though it's a little bit pricey, it's probably the most expensive cartridge I've had in the system. I have no regrets about it whatsoever. It sounds great. So the ML is a main fixture in the turntable system for me. Oh, I wanted to mention the bassist has a wonderful clamp that's essential for it. It is part of the system. It is a locking collar type clamp, very weighty, beautifully machined, and really does lock the record down to the platter and flatten a little bit of some types of warps. So that's really nice too. The only drawback I think with the Rega arm is that it doesn't allow for azimuth adjustment, but everything else is completely adjustable. And I think it does its job very well, and it works extremely well with this system and was a good choice for producing this at this price. There's also another turntable in the system temporarily. It's a mono setup. It is a VPI player turntable that was loaned to me just to see, for me to see how mono sounds on a true mono cartridge and so forth. So I'm not adept at switching cartridges on my bassist, so I chose to say yes to this loan, and I have that here. I haven't really played with it a lot yet, but from what I've heard, it's really interesting to hear mono played back with a true mono cartridge. So the signal is going to my phono stage, and I chose the Modwright PH 9.0. This is something I heard in a system at my dealer's, and I was very intrigued with the appearance. Of course, it is a lovely, simple design, just like the bassist. It is in two boxes, so it has a full power supply in one box and the control and the amplification in another. What I like about this design by Daniel Wright, there's many things, but I like that it has a separate power supply. I love that the loading and gain are on the fly. It has the flexibility I need to evaluate different cartridges, and just an ease when maybe a record is a little too bright or a little too distant or something. I can change the loading a bit and kind of bring it to life. I like that about this, and I like that the gain can be adjusted for the cartridge as well, easily on the front. So it can accept two turntables, one moving coil, one moving magnet. So a great design that doesn't ever age. Daniel Wright keeps this in production all the time. He has offered several upgrades, so it's a component that never will go out of date. You can do the X upgrade, I think, which does some upgrades to the output transformers, I believe. And there's a tube upgrade for the power supply, which is very interesting. And the umbilical cord, which connects the two pieces, is also has an upgrade if you would choose for that. So I don't know how much difference those make, but knowing Dan Wright, I imagine that they're quite significant. And this can stay in my system for a long time. I really am glad I chose it, and it fits in perfectly with my system at this time. The other component is an integrated amp. Now this came about a little bit by a series of circumstances. My Odyssey Cartago Stratos Frankenstein hybrid amp had a failure in the switch. So I took it out of the system, and I also had the Audio Research SP9 preamp, which I like a lot, and it's really held up well, but it was time to go. I really wanted something more compact. These two components were taking up too much space. The Odyssey amp is really huge and deep, and it didn't really fit well. I still have it. I will maybe employ it in the future, but all these things came together with an offer for used Cayin A50T. Now, this is something that I always wanted to try, a completely tube amp. Now, the fact that it had a small footprint was attractive to me too. It also has a KT88 tube upgrade that was done at the factory by the previous owner. So it has power. It goes up to 35 watts per channel in tube power. So that may seem low to you, but it actually in reality is plenty of volume for me. It also has the ability to switch between triode and ultralinear mode. Triode is a little more sweeter, a little less power, and the ultralinear is powerful and can really bring things to life in some situations. So for certain types of music, I use one setting, and for others, I use a different one. It is designed in China. It is manufactured in China, but the manufacturing is really nice. It's a beautifully designed amp. It's based on the Marantz 8B, which is legendary. And it gives you that vintage tube design, but brought up to modern standards. Really, I'm very impressed with it. It's been very solid and no problems whatsoever. And it was a bargain. I mean, if you're upgrading equipment, used is the way to go, in my opinion, except for maybe a cartridge. Used equipment is usually well taken care of by the previous owner. And the price drop is like when you drive a car out of the showroom. It drops to half the price. And that's a great way for an audiophile on a budget to pick up something at a great price. And that was the case with the speakers, or maybe the case with the speakers. I had been using the ELAC debuts for a while, and at that time, I just didn't have the money for a better speaker. So I read up and I looked around, and it was getting rave reviews for its price range. It's designed by Andrew Jones, who was designing for Pioneer before that, and TAD. So it's a well thought out design, and it was kind of blowing people's minds for its price point, which was $400. Yeah, so it may seem like really cheap, but it's really a good sounding speaker, even though the fit and finish is maybe to that budget. I liked the speaker a lot, but I knew that it was the weak point in the system. So I've been trying different speakers, and right now I have a $10,000 speaker in the system. It is the System Audio Pandion 30. It's from a little known company in Denmark. They're very famous in Europe, but here they don't have much presence. But that's not a reason to discount them. They are amazing and they are beautiful. I looked at all the speakers in their line, and I think this one was their most beautiful creation. It's gorgeous, sloped back, beautiful piano gloss finish, in a wood finish. I'm not sure what tone of wood it is, but 3 drivers. It's a ported design. The back is very simple. There are no wiring visible. There is no wiring visible. And they have a round base where you plug in the speaker wires. So it's very neat, very elegant. It looks beautiful. And that's something I like. You know, I look at my system all the time, and I want to look at a beautiful system and hear a beautiful system. And I'm hearing beautiful sound out of these System Audio speakers. Again, like I said, if you buy used, you could get a $10,000 speaker for half or less. And that's a great, great thing. I'm shopping around. I'm still open to other suggestions, but it's very hard to hear a speaker in your system, you know, without doing a trial and exchange and shipping and so forth. Having a dealer that can provide this kind of service to you is very, very important. If you have a dealer near you that specializes and takes in a lot of used equipment and has a rotating inventory of used equipment, that is where you need to be making your associations, because he will let you know when something comes in and you can grab it for a good price and have sound quality that was way beyond what you could afford at retail. So the System Audio loudspeakers are designed, forgive me for pronunciation, by Ola Withoft. Ola Withoft. As I said, in Denmark. For this speaker, he not only did the design himself, but he incorporated a lot of different opinions from many musicians and other listeners to fine-tailor this speaker so it was the most musical, most realistic speaker that he could possibly design. I think that's an interesting approach. It was almost like an open source project, and the results speak for themselves. It sounds like real music. It sounds like a musical instrument, especially when played with honest recordings of acoustic music. It's amazing. Voices are done really well, and orchestral music is arrayed in a splendor of open sound staging and easy placement of instruments, but it's never a analytical speaker at all. If anything, it is on the romantic side, and I love that. I love it. It's a beautiful speaker. Whether it stays in the system, we don't know yet. It'll depend on finances, how long I can borrow it, and what else I hear. But it's looking really good for the System Audio Pandion. A beautiful, beautiful speaker, and I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to audition it. So that is the system update. I'll let you know of any further updates in a video like this. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Have a great day.